They say no nation is truly invincible, that every fortress has a weak spot. But when it comes to the United Kingdom, let's just say, good luck finding it. Because from raging seas and stealthy submarines to centuries-old defiance and world-class cyber warriors, Britain has built the ultimate "you shall not pass" strategy. Think you can storm the beaches? The beaches will storm you first. And if the waves don't get you, the lasers, drones, and perhaps a highly suspicious tea party will. Let's start with the first boss level any would-be invader faces: Mother Nature. The UK isn't just one big island, it's an archipelago of over 6,000 islands, stretching across stormy waters and unpredictable terrain, from the windswept cliffs of the Shetlands to the storm-beaten rocks off Cornwall. And that's before you even reach the mainland. Surrounding all of this, the cold, moody Atlantic. Not exactly a welcoming moat, it's more like Poseidon's booby trap covered in fog, fish, and a lot of regret. This natural geography has been Britain's first and oldest defense mechanism. That British moat effect means any invasion force must launch a massive amphibious assault across some of the roughest seas on Earth. If your soldiers don't freeze or puke themselves into oblivion on the way, there's still the issue of unloading onto steep, narrow beaches under fire, where cliffs loom like silent sentinels ready to swallow up your landing force. And let's not forget British weather, nature's own SAS. It's cold, wet, windy, and wildly unpredictable. In 1588, the mighty Spanish Armada was blown apart by the same Atlantic tantrums that ruin British barbecues to this day. Napoleon? He gave up before he could even try. And Hitler, Operation Sea Lion never got off the drawing board because the Luftwaffe couldn't even secure air superiority. He took one look at the channel and said, maybe next time. There was no next time. Britain is like a medieval castle surrounded by lava, rainy, freezing lava, and seagulls. Now let's talk about the gatekeepers of that moat. The Royal Navy isn't just old, it's legendary. This is the Navy that gave us Trafalgar, Jutland, and over 100 years of unchallenged sea dominance. And while times have changed, the legacy remains stronger than ever. Today, the Royal Navy boasts over 70 active ships, including the powerful Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers, essentially floating fortresses with F-35s on deck and enough firepower to change the mood of any coastline. They're not just a presence in the Channel, they can project power from the Arctic to the Indo-Pacific, from the Falklands to the South China Sea. Then there are the Type 45 destroyers, sleek, quiet, and packing some of the most advanced air defense systems in the world. Think of them as nightclub bouncers for the island. You're not on the list, mate, followed by 48 missiles. And below the surface, the true wild card, Trident submarines. The UK's nuclear-armed Vanguard-class subs are always on patrol, somewhere in the ocean, and no one knows where, not even the Prime Minister, probably. That's the beauty of a continuous at-sea deterrent. This is the "you can't find me" insurance policy. Even if the UK were somehow caught off guard, one phone call and things go from bad to radioactive apocalypse in under 5 minutes. These subs are the silent sharks in the deep, the quiet threat that keeps everyone honest. So before any invader starts rehearsing their Normandy 2.0, remember, this island has fangs and sonar. But what about boots on the ground? The British Army may not be the largest, but it's definitely one of the smartest and the deadliest. With about 75,000 active personnel, it might seem small compared to global giants. But don't let numbers fool you. This force is professional, highly mobile, and trained for rapid deployment. It's compact, but brutal. This is a force equipped with Challenger 3 tanks, soon to be among the most advanced in Europe. Ajax recon vehicles for battlefield awareness. Starstreak missile systems that can split a target mid-air like a magician cutting cards. And when they're deployed, they move fast, hit hard, and vanish before you know what happened. And then there's the Air Force. The RAF's crown jewel, the F-35B Lightning II. It can take off vertically from carriers and vanish off radar faster than your last online date. Combined with Eurofighter Typhoons, the UK skies are a no-fly zone for any hostile aircraft. Try buzzing British airspace and you'll get a response faster than a kettle boils. But here's where things get spicy. DragonFire. No, not a Game of Thrones reference. It's Britain's prototype laser weapon, capable of burning drones out of the sky at the speed of light. Forget bullets. We're talking about Star Wars-level defense. Pew pew indeed. Also in the toolbox, swarm drones, artificial intelligence-assisted battlefield systems, loitering munitions, and electronic warfare platforms so advanced they can make an enemy think their own systems are haunted. If your plan was to jam communications or take out a radar site, the UK's probably already hacked your emails, downloaded your playlist, and posted a selfie from your own webcam. Let's get a bit more covert, because behind every great fortress is an even greater set of spies. And Britain's got some of the best. MI5 and MI6 are more than movie references. They are elite intelligence agencies with a global footprint, high-tech surveillance, and the ability to see threats coming before the threats even know they're threats. While James Bond is fictional, the real-life agents operate in the shadows, running networks, intercepting communications, and generally making life hard for anyone planning mischief. Then there's GCHQ, the ears of the kingdom. Think of it as Britain's digital fortress. Every click, ping, and packet of data that passes through cyberspace is potentially monitored, assessed, and, if necessary, dismantled. And unlike your average IT department, they don't ask you to turn it off and on again. The National Cyber Force adds another layer, capable of launching devastating cyber attacks against hostile states, criminal networks, and anything dumb enough to mess with Britain's digital walls. These guys can disable satellites, fry communication grids, and spoof entire digital networks. In today's world, a USB stick can be more dangerous than a tank. And in Britain's case, plug it in, and MI6 will probably show up at your front door with tea, biscuits, and a list of your browser history. All right, let's say you somehow made it past the Navy, the weather, the RAF, and MI6. You land on the shores. Congratulations. Now you're really in trouble.
What? What the
Because if history teaches us anything, it's that the British don't surrender. Ever. Not to Napoleon, not to the Nazis, not to anyone who puts milk in the cup before the tea. During World War II, Britain had a secret plan in case of Nazi invasion. Auxiliary units. Elite guerrilla squads trained to disappear into the countryside and strike back with sabotage, ambushes, and good old-fashioned stubbornness. These weren't just soldiers. They were bakers, farmers, and local shopkeepers with explosives buried in their gardens. Every village, every pub, every sheep farm could have been a resistance cell, and that spirit hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, it might be stronger now. Just imagine a battalion of determined pensioners armed with walking sticks and decades of pub fights under their belts. Remember Churchill?
We shall fight on the beaches.
We shall fight on the beaches. Wasn't just good speechwriting, it was the national ethos. Even today, the idea of British defiance is practically baked into their breakfast. You'd be dealing with a nation where every town has a war memorial, and most people know their great-grandfather's regiment. This isn't just an army, it's a culture of resistance. Oh, and good luck navigating roundabouts. Let's not beat around the bush. The UK has nukes, Trident missiles to be exact, and they're not stored in some dusty bunker. They're on submarines, always moving, always ready, and always invisible. Each one can carry multiple warheads. Each warhead can flatten a city. And each submarine operates with total autonomy in case the government is incapacitated. Think of it as a doomsday failsafe with a stiff upper lip. This means even if an enemy landed, conquered, and somehow held ground, the retaliation could still come from beneath the sea. No warning, no escape, no chance. It's the ultimate don't even think about it system. It doesn't just protect Britain, it paralyzes potential enemies with the knowledge that no matter what they do, the final card is devastating. And here's the kicker. The moment the UK is attacked, NATO comes knocking, which means you haven't just invaded Britain, you've just declared war on the United States, France, Germany, Canada, and about 25 other countries with very large budgets and very little patience. Congratulations, you played yourself. Let's take a step back and look at the scoreboard, because if there's one thing history proves, it's that invading Britain is a terrible idea. Almost a rite of passage for empires that want to learn humility. The UK is like the final boss in a historical video game, complete with stormy levels, elite defenders, and twist endings. The Romans took decades, multiple attempts, and half the empire's patience. Even then, they never fully subdued the Scottish Highlands. The locals were too busy painting themselves blue, speaking in riddles, and throwing javelins from behind fog-covered hills. Eventually, the Romans just built a wall, Hadrian's Wall, as if to say, okay, you win. The Normans? Yes, William the Conqueror pulled it off in 1066, but let's be honest, that was less of an invasion and more of a very aggressive job application. He got the gig, sure, but he also inherited a land filled with rebels, rain, and rebellions. Also, that was nearly 1,000 years ago. Since then, zilch, and William had a serious head start with internal support and timing. The Spanish Armada in 1588, nature and British naval gunpowder sent them packing. Between fire ships, cannonballs, and weather that seemed personally offended by their presence, the Armada limped home in pieces. Many of their ships never even made it back. Napoleon? He spent more time planning elaborate uniforms than an actual invasion. The logistics were a nightmare, and he knew better than to roll the dice on the Channel. And Hitler? Operation Sea Lion sank under the weight of RAF resistance, logistics chaos, and Churchill's unshakable glare. Germany realized quickly that amphibious landings on a hostile island, defended by a prepared air force and navy, are a fantasy. It was a plan built on assumptions, and none of them held. Even William of Orange in 1688 didn't really invade. He was basically invited in, like a polite vampire. Glorious Revolution, they called it. Sounds more like a fancy brunch than a war. And even then, it only worked because England was in political crisis, and internal factions welcomed change. Bottom line, everyone who tried to take the UK got weathered, wounded, or humiliated. Britain is like a historical trap card in a card game. Activate upon invasion, and boom, disaster. The only consistent winners in British invasions are the people who never tried. History doesn't just teach, it laughs. Let's break this down with a bit of humor, because who says you can't laugh while analyzing national defense? Sometimes the best way to understand a ridiculous scenario is to fully embrace the absurdity. How to fail at invading Britain, a step-by-step guide. Step 1. Launch your fleet. Get halfway across the North Sea before a sudden storm throws your ships into each other like it's bumper boats at a cursed amusement park. Great start. Morale sinks with the ships. Step 2. Survive the Channel's freezing waves only to face a Royal Navy destroyer armed with missiles that track you better than your ex on Instagram. And that's assuming your GPS didn't already get spoofed by GCHQ, your communications, jammed, your surveillance drones, hijacked, and now delivering snacks to Portsmouth. Step 3. Land your troops. But wait, you forgot the tide. Half your tanks are underwater, the other half stuck in sand. The welcoming committee? An angry squad of Royal Marines, a BBC camera crew, and a fox who's just curious. Your landing craft? Scattered. Your strategy? Derailed by seagulls. Step 4. Air support? Not happening. The RAF is already there, with F-35s and lasers. Yes, lasers. You brought jets. They brought science fiction. And while your planes try to dodge heat seekers, British pilots casually discuss cricket on the radio. Step 5. Move inland. But every village has turned into a maze of angry farmers, retired paratroopers, and someone named Nigel with a cricket bat and absolutely nothing to lose. The roads are narrow, your supply chains are non-existent, and now you're stuck behind a tractor. Step 6. Try to hold a city. Good luck with MI6 feeding info to the local resistance, while GCHQ fries your comms with cyber attacks. Oh, and every pub becomes an intelligence outpost overnight. 1 pint, 2 pints, classified documents. Final step, realize you've just triggered Article 5, and now the entire NATO alliance is headed your way like it's Black Friday and you just opened the door to the only store with tanks on sale. American bombers, French missiles, and Norwegian troops who haven't seen sunlight in months. Alternative, watch Dad's Army, rethink your life choices, and maybe go back to making cheese, or start a podcast about your failed invasion. Imagine James Bond intercepts your secret war council, Doctor Who rewires your weapons into a coffee machine, and Sherlock Holmes deduces your entire invasion plan from your boot size and accent. Meanwhile, Paddington Bear politely asks you to leave, holding a marmalade sandwich and a stare that says, "Not today." Let's be real. Invading Britain isn't just risky, it's comically doomed. Every time someone even considers it, a corgi barks in disapproval somewhere. And just when you thought the challenge couldn't get tougher, there's the UK's global backup. Like a chess master with allies in every corner of the board, Britain isn't standing alone. It's a founding member of NATO, has a close relationship with the US, and strong defense ties with Australia, Canada, and numerous European nations. The moment an invasion begins, you're not just dealing with Britain, you're poking the collective military chest of half the democratic world. Spoiler alert, they don't take kindly to poking. Invading the UK would be like poking a lion in a zoo, and then realizing the zoo is run by NATO and the lion has a nuke, and backup, and drones, and very opinionated journalists. Plus, the UK has military outposts and access points all over the globe. Gibraltar watches the Mediterranean, the Falklands guard the South Atlantic, Cyprus, Diego Garcia, Brunei, Ascension Island, and more provide staging grounds for global retaliation. Want to hide in the jungle? They'll find you. Want to hide at sea? They'll be waiting with sonar pings and a very British announcement. Britain can hit back not just from home, but from halfway around the world. You're not just fighting an island, you're fighting a global web of hard power, soft power, and allies who bring their own toys to the fight. Toys with missiles, and occasionally French attitude. Oh, and the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance? That means the UK knows what you're thinking before you do. It's less a counterattack and more a preemptive regret. Your plan leaks before you even draft it. So, let's sum this up. You want to invade the UK? You'll have to brave treacherous seas, outmaneuver a world-class navy, dodge cutting-edge tech, break through elite special forces, survive a population ready to fight with pitchforks and tea kettles, and somehow avoid triggering a nuclear response backed by 30 allied nations with zero chill. The UK isn't just a country, it's a fortress with sarcasm, submarines, lasers, and an uncanny knack for turning adversity into national holidays. Invading it isn't a military plan, it's a bad sitcom pilot, written by someone who forgot to do their research. So unless you have a teleportation device, a weather-controlling machine, and diplomatic immunity from NATO, you might want to pick a different target. Or better yet, write a book about how you almost did it.